Air. Yeah, you'd think for something people associate with breathing or a gentle breeze that it wouldn't make for a good element for warriors to be classified under, correct? Correct. Well, partially. In Skylanders Spyro's Adventure, every single air element in that game is miserable besides Sonic Boom, and people only like Whirlwind because she's pretty and Bash wants to fuck her. But air element Skylanders quickly became much better in the following games. Giants only has 2 Skylanders, so I'm not sure if I can properly give any opinions on it. Hot take, I like Jetvac though. Skylanders Swap Force hits it out of the fucking park. Some of my favorite air element Skylanders, and even some of my favorite overall. Popthorn, Free Ranger, my second favorite of the Swap Force, and that one Skylander that everyone says wasn't nerfed in Imaginators. When you play as her, you quickly realize she's just mediocre at that game as every other non-Imaginator Skylander when you play as them in the last game in the series. Skylanders Trap Team has some amazing Skylanders. Blades is one of the few that actually gets me to use all 3 of their attacks together, and Gusto, despite being a fat fuck, has a surprisingly fun moveset. And although I don't own Jetvac's Superchargers variant, I do own Stormblade, and she is a very fun Skylander. As for Imaginators, I'll get to that in due time. But going back to Trap Team, there is one category of figures that I chose to leave out until now. The traps!
She's a trap!
Oh god! That's right. Just as some nicey filler spicy content, I'll be reviewing some more odd things about the Skylanders series. Things people wouldn't normally consider for a video, such as the vehicle types, magic items, and in this video's instance, Traptanium. Welcome to a new mini-series of mine, Reviews into Overdrive. Why did I start with this element? Well, this one's sort of a mixed bag, and has a variety of characters. Most of them are good, one that isn't, but I'll get into that later. So, I'll be talking about these dastardly villains in order of their appearance in the story. But before we get too deep into things, remember this? Oh, and a quick little disclaimer. I don't really own a capture card. Well, I'm happy to say that that is no longer an issue, because I have got my grubby claws on this! A capture card! Man, I should come up with a pun on the whole capturing villains gimmick of Trap Team, since this is called a capture card. Nope, never mind, I can't think of anything clever. Anyways, further distractions aside, let's start talking about some villains. Our first air element is in the second level of the game. See this wad of Traptanium? Yeah, well, play as any Trap Master and bust it open after whacking it a few times, and you have access to a small island. What's on there? Beak, one of the many bird villains Trap Team has in its roster. Cuckoo Clocker, more like Cuckoo Glocker, am I right, fellas? Yeah! Beak is a common enemy, one of those types of enemies that you literally take out in one hit. Except for this powerful one. That being said, it's still kind of weak. Like, you could take them out with a short-ranged mini Skylander. But, once you inevitably wipe them out, it's trapping time, and Jesus Christ, this villain is more angry to be captured than usual. Once you start playing as him, he's unironically really good. Mind you, they're very simple, but they're very good. Like most villains, they're an instant win button and do lots of damage. They have a primary attack that hits enemies multiple times, and a secondary attack that takes longer to perform but does more damage. So, yes, they didn't put that much time into the moveset. And honestly, I'm fine with that as long as they are fun to play as and do good damage. Oh yeah, I should probably mention this. All the villains I am playing as in this video are already evolved, and I am replaying the villain quest specifically for this video. I am saying this because we are moving on to their villain quest, which is a not-so-evil family reunion of Beak's relatives. What's in traptanium that makes villains go good anyways? Are they just forced to? Or is it some drug inside of the traptanium? Add that to the boundless list of questions I have about the Skylanders lore. Anyways, you get a really cool hat, and Beak's color changes to a Nickelodeon slime once you, do this quest. Moving on. Jesus, we were just talking about a common enemy as intimidating, as powerful as a Chompy, and now we're on to a fucking Doom Raider? Jesus. Dreamcatcher has 2 stages worth of build-up. Monster Marsh is a swamp level, and I love swamp levels, so easy S tier. And then you go to Telescope Towers, this Alice in Wonderland style fever dream that is easily one of the standout stages in Trap Team. All leading to the mysterious and admittedly blandly designed Dreamcatcher. Her boss is, lame. She doesn't even attack you. That is, like, so bogus. You just attack these sleeping Mabu for a force field to go down. Yawn. Maybe it's an attack on the player to try to get me to fall asleep. Like, so not replaying this stage? Just kidding. I like Telescope Towers. So, I'll play through the stage, but when it comes to the boss at the end, man, TTYL. But alas, you have to capture her anyways, and that leads us to talking about her moveset, which is, not the best. I mean, you got a variety of attacks, but what's the use in that if only one of them is actually good? Anyways, you, totally, man, do you guys have any more acronyms or slang terms I could use? It's getting a lot harder to talk like a mean girl. So, you do your villain quest in the stage Willikin Workshop for an old Willikin to ask the Dreamcatcher to help with his insomnia or something. Yeah, so you enter his dream and, whoa, it looks like his dreams involve, a room. Talk about anticlimactic. On to the next villain. Frankenstein Stein, however you pronounce it.
Frankenstein.
Oh, remember how I mentioned that there were several bird villains in Skylanders Trap Team? Well, here's another common category, the Evilkin, wooded warriors created by Dr. Crankcase using the Mystic Wood. These aren't really big evil villains, more common enemies that are stronger and, for some reason, you have to trap. But this villain comes at, the very end of the stage. Like, they don't even have any story significance, you sort of just destroy them and then the level ends. But what level does this lad appear in? Mystic Mill. I'll be honest, I really enjoy the first part of this level. I love the stormy atmosphere of the ship. It's so cool, and although the turret sections are less cool, matter of fact, they're kind of boring, this one honestly looks amazing with all the area you're flying through. It really makes me appreciate it. Though the main issue I have with the stage is its length. Unless you enter the optional side areas, this level ends right when it's getting good. And when you end the stage, you fight this lad, where they just swing around. It's damn near impossible to land a hit on this dude when they're just non-stop spamming. I mean, which would be fine, but this guy has so much range. And worst of all, you don't even get to use his overpowered attack when you capture them. All that happens is you get a villain so tedious, I would rather play as Beak. This lad only has 2 attacks. One where you get to drag enemies close to you, which does continuous, albeit minimal damage, and a second one where you snatch up an enemy and get to throw them. Neither are really fun, although the second attack is definitely more useful. So they're just a combination of Jetvac and Slobbertooth with very poor execution. As for Cranky Wanky's villain quest, in the stage Operation Troll Rocket Steel, you meet up with a Willikin and get to make some Evilkin shield shredders who actually help you battle in the stage. That being said, they barely do any damage, so They're useless. Bad Juju? More like down bad Juju, am I right? You find this villain in the lair of the Golden Queen midway through the stage. Her boss is fairly easy, so not much to write home about. The stage itself is kind of boring, though. Anyways, once you beat her and capture her, as one does, you get to play as her, and she's really fun. People dislike her Imaginator's counterpart for the same reason why I love both variations of Bad Juju. Both characters are only good with their first attacks, and insatiably fun to spam. In Trap Team Bad Juju's case, however, you press the primary attack button and send a wave of thunder attack to every enemy on screen, doing great damage. This is so useful in Nightmare mode, being able to weaken your opponents. So, what is her villain quest in? Why, the same stage where you find her, but before you fight her, so you have to replay the level. Fucking bastards making me replay these stages for a video, god damn you. Yeah, so Glumshanks lost something, you send in Bad Juju to fetch it out, though something a bit odd is how Glumshanks refers to Bad Juju as a male here, despite Bad Juju clearly being female in Imaginators, which means either Glumshanks mispronounced her, or Bad Juju is a trans icon! I knew it! That's right, I have the best headcanons, and in my perfect headcanon, Skylanders Imaginators never actually happened, and it was just Spyro's hallucinated overdose in an alleyway. Yeah, it's kind of weird talking about these villains, because they're all sort of anticlimactic, if I'm being honest. You fight them, and that's fun, usually, but the villain quests are just an afterthought. I mean, sure, some of them can be mini-games, but those usually aren't fun either. And they are very poorly thrown together. And I really hate to say this, because the villains are such a cool gimmick. Being able to capture the villains and have them in this crystal, that's cool! Especially how they talk to you during gameplay, as annoying as they can be, adding at least some level of depth to these enemies' personalities. But the movesets are always just so boring, and you only end up using them to tank hits or just wipe the screen away from enemies because of their damage. These traps are goddamn useless. I gotta find a way to turn these into keychains. So, I suppose there's only one thing I can say at the end of this. Do I recommend buying this trap? Only if you are going to 100% the game. If you want to play it casually and are looking for powerful villains to use, I would skip on this. But if you're a collector who wants to get all the traps, 1, turn back before it's too late. Buy the Ancients, please. And 2, the Air Element traps were released in 6 variations. The Toucan, which is the one I own, as well as the Snake, Sword, Jughead, What the Fuck, and Hourglass. So, if these are figurines, then that makes this an Hourglass figure. Get it? Because Alright, yeah, that's the end of the video. Goodbye.
Compadre, that doesn't make any sense. Although I guess on some level it kinda does.
What the fuck does that even mean?